Okay.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Friday session, our materials Q&A for Color Vowel. I'm Karen Taylor of the Color Vowel chart. This is one of our materials. We keep our materials down to kind of, I don't know, I think of it as an ethical minimum. I don't make a lot of different things, but what we make are very useful materials that can be used in multiple ways. So that's a theme I will be emphasizing today. They're also very flexible. You can use them in some combination online, face-to-face. And so I'll be doing a little bit of a focus on face-to-face teaching today. We have some folks in the room, and I wanted to say hi to Sarah. Sarah was just starting to tell me a little bit about what she's doing in Vietnam. So Sarah, hey, could you tell me a little bit again? You're working with, you said 9-year-olds, and you're
Yeah.
combining Color Vowel with some, I think you said you're using Jolly Phonics. Can you tell me a little more?
For the early group age of student, like they are just 3 years old, so I just use Jolly Phonics only. But for my students about 9 years old, I mix it both the phonics and the color vowel chart. For the students about 9 years old, I use the color vowel chart like the challenge for them. So I use the card with some voice, some vowel like green tea E with one card. Yes, and silver pen with one card, and I let them find out everything in their house and maybe outside the house to find out some words and yes, it's real. It's even more than the word or the noun, because they can find out like green, like red. They are the adjectives, right? So they can find so many more words that I have never thought about this before. It's really amazed.
Wonderful. I think what you're describing is kind of like a scavenger hunt. We call it
Yes,
scavenger hunt,
yes,
where
just like
you're,
the scavenger
right?
hunt.
So you might say, go find as many blue words as you can.
Yes. And I also let them record the video at home, just like the homework for them. Yes.
Yeah.
For them
Wonderful.
to do
Oh,
the challenge like that.
well, super fun. And you said these are 3-year-olds?
No, for 9 years old, nine
Oh,
years
okay,
old
the
student.
9-year-olds. Got it.
9 years old.
I was like, wait a minute. Okay, I got it. You have some 3-year-olds on one side with just the Jolly Phonics, and then the 9-year-olds, you're combining the
Yeah.
chart and
Yeah.
the images with phonics as well. Great.
Yes.
Great. All right, good to hear all this. I'll see if I can weave in some of my presentation today, or just our conversation around that. I see Wendy in the room. Hi, Wendy. What kinds of things which materials do you have? And do you have any particular questions you'd like me to address today?
Well, I have the color vowel chart, obviously. I also have the organizer, color vowel organizer, and I have the spelling exploration sheets.
Yeah.
I have colored out the game, the actual physical game,
Right.
and I have what's the other thing I have? Well, I have the color vowel image cards.
Right. I'm going to show this while you're talking so folks can appreciate what we have happening here. This is our shop. And I should say, because I know we have international viewers like Sarah, this shop has a combination of downloadable products and physical products. Unfortunately, because of the way mailing physical products works in my country, the cost of mailing physical materials outside the United States is simply not feasible for neither for us nor for you. Because oh, there we go. The cost it takes to ship something to another country is simply so much more. It really almost makes it more expensive than the product itself. So I work closely with a few people around the world when they'll come here and they'll order and take things back to them. I know I have a friend who goes to Vietnam, who's in Vietnam. Maybe you've spoken with her. So folks outside the US just know we look for innovative ways with our worldwide community to take materials as needed physically. But that's just a note about this website. You may not see all the products if you are outside the US, so that we basically prevent people from being frustrated. Okay. But you'll see digital products. And so some of the things Wendy was just describing is the game, Color It Out. Okay. And you also mentioned that you have the poster. Okay. This poster, I'm going to give you a couple of options as well. So we have this face-to-face website. We also have our RedBubble website, and that is, I'm just going to do this for you, RedBubble. To go to RedBubble, this is not exactly our store, but we have our own little sort of place within it. So here's our shop within RedBubble, and anybody anywhere in the world can order our products from RedBubble. They will print and ship whatever it is you want to order, whether it's stickers or magnets or posters. Okay. Notebooks. I love this notebook, by the way. So these are all printed objects that come straight from RedBubble. And you can look around, okay, when you're in categories, especially look at the, I think stationery and office has our posters, notebooks, etc. Okay. So I'll touch on this again. I'll keep this tab open. But I did want you to know that we've got two. This is our face-to-face products. This is the only place you can order the game, the actual Color It Out physical game. So that's the one little limitation. You will not find that over here. Okay. These are flat objects that are sent out through RedBubble. So just putting that out there for clarity. Okay. Wendy, are there any questions that you have today? Just because I know you use these, and as you get to use materials with training, which Wendy's been doing a lot of, you start to ask questions. You start to have, you notice things, right? Thoughts that brought you today?
Well, I'm here always to gather information about how else I can use it. I think one thing that I want to learn better to use is the spelling exploration sheets. Like, when is it good to use it? How do I use it? And also just kind of a refresher about how best to use the chart, just in general. Because like Karen said, I've been doing a lot of training, and you kind of, you forget about the first things you learn. Right? It's like, oh, you get all these new gadgets and new tools, and like, wait, how do I do the basics again? Right? How do you go back and do the first things?
Yeah. Well, it's true. We kind of want to get back to our simplest ideas. And I'm talking while looking for something for you. I want to show you some photos, of what we do with those organizers. So we'll see if we can come to some of that today. Thank you for that question. All right. So how to use the chart more deeply, or how to get back to basics, as well as what about those spelling exploration worksheets? Those are not exactly products. They're downloadables that our trained teachers have access to. But anybody who has the book, The Color Vowel Approach, and that is a digital product, has also access to the procedures involved in spelling exploration. Okay. So I have a couple of things written down now on my little agenda for today. Let me make sure I have that, which is spelling exploration, as well as a little more about how to use the chart, possibly some new ideas. Hi, Amy. I want to say hi to you. I was about to catch you running away. Wonderful. You'll be right back. Gotcha. Okay. All righty. Well, folks, good. As folks come into the room, feel free to use the chat. You can ask those questions so that we have some kindling for our little Q&A fire, if you will. That's my metaphor. I want to say hi to Amy. It's been a little while since I've seen you.
Yeah, it's been a super busy spring, but I'm happy to have this opportunity, especially to kind of For me, I jumped in because I would love a refresher about face-to-face and games and how to use the products. So I'm happy to be here.
Beautiful. All right. I have a feeling you just saw my email where I talked about that. Beautiful. All right. So games as well. And you're face-to-face teacher?
I am. Yep. Working with, for me, I'm thinking of folks who are pretty low level.
Mhm.
So I'll be paying attention to sort of directions, how we get folks who are really emerging learners and how get them to enjoy the games and understand the point of the game.
Beautiful. Okay. Well, good. Then I'm going to go ahead and share. First, I'll start by mentioning just what this product is. So let me grab that. As I mentioned, over in our shop, our regular ColorVal shop, which is shop.colorval.com, over here, you'll see that there's a variety of products, and some of them are digital, like the digital book. Okay. Um, any of these books are digital products that you can print. Okay. And that's what we're going to focus on today. Okay. So I'm going to open up Classroom Games for you here as a product. And I'll put this in the chat, by the way, so you can look at it there as well. So here's the chat. Okay. Boom. Great. Okay. Oh, nice to see you, Trang. Good to have you here. And I see Arena's here with us too. Beautiful. We've opened up the chat, everybody. So as you have questions about specific products, let me know. Okay. So once again, you can download this. And I'm going to just highlight a little bit about it, and then we're going to actually look at it in print. Okay. So here, this is a feature of over 20 high quality pronunciation games. It has games and puzzles. So today we're going to look at categories. We'll take a moment with some ColorVal puzzles. We'll take a look through all of those. Okay. What I love about this book, this is designed by Laura McIndoe, and she's the same brilliant teacher who designed Color It Out, the card game. She is a practicing teacher, and she is an expert graphic designer. She is so multi-talented. I can barely represent, the breadth of what Laura does. But she is especially a great mind about gamification in the classroom. So anything you see in here, she has actually piloted in her classrooms, and she's shared with other teachers. So we know these games work really well. Okay. So I'm going to try to represent, what she has in mind and all of the possibilities as she uses these games herself. Okay. Now, I'll say, I'm about to show it to you. I'm going to use my document camera. And what I will say is that she and I are both passionately dedicated to kind of, I'll call it the nitty gritty. This is for those of us, for those who are from outside the States, this might be a new phrase, the nitty gritty of actually teaching in a classroom. And what we mean by the nitty gritty, I'll put it, Wendy, would you type that in the chat for me? Nitty gritty. The nitty gritty of teaching is we have to actually move from this thing that was online to this thing in our hands to how it makes it to the table. How much work do I have to do to get it there? Am I cutting things up all by myself all night till midnight? Am I color coding things? Am I having to use different colors of paper? All of these are the nitty gritty details of face-to-face teaching. And we also know that sometimes those activities, cutting, coloring, thinking in advance about the color of the paper, what have you, sometimes it's really worth thinking that way so that you can use and reuse and reuse. So I see Amy kind of nodding a lot.
Yeah.
I certainly have invested that time to have, a box full of, I can pull them out and use them and put them back, right? Today, I'm going to kind of turn that on its side and say that there are actually moments where we don't have to do that. And this book allows for both models. Okay. So here is the book itself. And I've printed it out in black and white, again, because I'm interested in the nitty gritty, not the ideal or the super sexy notion of, let me see if I can just move this all a little bit so you can see this better. There we go. So here's Classroom Games. not sexy, just simple. We've printed it in black and white, and that is more than good enough, first of all, okay? Because Color Vowel is not, it doesn't hinge actually around the visual colors. This is not color coding. It's not memorizing that red represents as a color this sound. It really is about those anchor phrases. And as you'll see, as you flip through the book, even as we open up the book, we have a couple of introductory pages. And what's great is, you print this out and you can carry it around. It can get tattered and torn, or you can rip out a page and use it, and you can print it again the next semester. So it is like literally a working book that you print it once, use it throughout the course, and then you print out a new one for the next course. Okay. So the main instructions are here. What's inside? How do I use it? I'll just say, there are QR codes for gamifying online. So every game in the book that's printed has an online corollary that you or a learner can use on their mobile device simply by right now, go ahead and scan it, etc. If you are looking at this object as a PDF, which is how it downloads, every scan code also has a clickable link. So it will open. So you could, for example, if you're in a face-to-face classroom, you could click on this object as a file, open the puzzle, or even open the puzzle online, and then your learners, every combination of digital and physical. Okay. But again, today I'm going to focus on the physical. So here we are with the physical chart. You don't have to have a color experience with your eyes, partly because we use those anchor images, right? So we can recognize these so long as you recognize how important it is that we're teaching how do these anchor phrases sound. And then we have this single iconic image that the learner can see and say, oh, there's a, right? Right now it's easy because they are attached to the anchor phrase and we're hearing the same sound twice, and there it is. So this provides us with sort of a vocabulary and an inventory of visual symbols that are not phonetic symbols, right? We don't have to decode them or wonder which symbol represented what, because it always goes back to the immediate, very memorable mnemonic. Put that in the chat for me, Wendy, would you? Mnemonic. That allows learners to know exactly what sound we're talking about, even if it's a sound that is still difficult for them to pronounce, right? Oh, the mustard sound. I know that's a tricky one for me, but they have a name for it. That's a mnemonic. The mnemonic is built into, we don't have to memorize that it's this sound because it is that sound in cup and mustard. That's what I mean by mnemonic, okay? So it's very powerful that way, okay? So the chart is here. If you haven't yet introduced your students to Color Vowel, here's one more way to do this. It's kind of a lot like our physical Launchpad. If you know about the Launchpad, this is a physical, right now, a physical product that we sell in packs of 50. And the teacher can then introduce the chart and they have the organizer on the back. This is also an object that we have as a free download, black and white version on our website. So if you've seen this before, that's why, right? All right, I'm going to move back. Comments or questions, you're welcome to open up the mic and ask a question before I continue. Okay, good. So we move through, again, some game instructions. Table of contents allows you to see the different themes that are covered in this particular book. We have another Classroom Book 2, Classroom Games 2, coming out very soon. Okay, Laura's really excited about that. But here are these themes, okay? Notice that down in the puzzles, we have specific vowel contrast focuses. So an entire puzzle dedicated to green words or blue words. And Wendy, when it comes to spelling exploration, which you mentioned, this is where you'll have a very nice kind of dovetail with spelling exploration here. Okay. So now I'm a teacher, I'm teaching a classroom. And I have, say, I leave the house in the morning to go to work. I have some kind of a bag with me where I keep some lesson plans and materials. And this is in there. I just carry this around for the whole term, the whole course, because then when I get to school, I can photocopy what I need. Okay. We immediately start with, and I'm just going to turn the page to this one, housing. Okay. So I have a lesson unit on where do you live and talking about your house, and it includes, you know, little lessons on furniture, all kinds of vocabulary building activities. I'm just imagining that. Okay. When it comes to this moment where we've started learning the vocabulary and we want to really practice saying it, recognizing it in print, okay, and hearing how does this word sound. That's what we want, is to get that strong sense of how this word sounds. I will come to this place where, okay, we want to use this. I can go ahead and create small groups and make, let's say, 4 copies for my 4 small groups, just 1 copy per group, right? In groups, I can then tell them, okay, we've already practiced these words a lot, and I now want you to sit with your group, and you can have a pencil in your hand. I'll use pencil. Okay. In each group, this is now printed, except what I want to do. Let's be clear. I want to cut off the bottom, and the way I'll represent that right now is just by folding it. But before you give it out to the groups, that's the one cut you have to make, is to cut off the bottom, because that's where the answers are. They're upside down, but you know, students will look. So you cut off the bottom. This is what they receive. That's good enough, right? And the first task before they actually play the game that's coming is they're going to, as a group, decide where is the stress. That's the first essential question in color vowel approaches. Where's the stress? And then what color is it? But for the moment, just question number 1. So kitchen. And what you'll expect to see in the classroom is that they're in groups looking through these, and they're using a gesture, because you've also trained them to use some kind of gesture to express or highlight where the stress is. This is the time on vowel. So we can do that. Kitchen, kitchen, kitchen. Where we open the hand is where the line's going to go. Right? Kitchen. And so you can be clear with them, not to write the color, because that will come up later, but they can say it. What color is kitchen? Kitchen. And as a group, I hear silver pin, kitchen, right? Okay. Mailbox. Is it mailbox? Mailbox. 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 Which one sounds, here, when we say which one sounds right, that may seem like an unfair question for learners. You may think, well, how are they supposed to know? But by this point in your unit and in their education and their lifetime experience, they have heard this word before, right? And so we are simply drawing on their experience hearing it and their collected intuition. They have collected an intuition. And one learner may not exactly know where it is, but another one, as a group, they will very likely be able to have the dialogue about this. If you've trained with us, maybe Wendy, or maybe Amy, you've remembered, we used a strategy called call the cat. Call the cat's great, because if you imagine calling, it can be a cat, it can be your friend. Whoever you're calling long distance, across a long distance, you would say, you know, my cat is named Rosie, Rosie, you know, come over here. The moment you're calling across a large distance, you actually use a different tone, a different way of speaking. And it actually comes from the right side of the brain. It's a singing voice, in fact, in some fashion. Okay. And so you'll discover, like, oh, I say Rosie, and not Rosie, Rosie, you know, that's not her name. If my cat's name were Mailbox, how would I say it? That's a question you can leave with the group. Let them, you know, experiment. Are they going to say mailbox, mailbox, or mailbox, mailbox? You can start to hear in exaggeration, in a musical way, how this word sounds. Okay. Other things are playing a role here too, other awarenesses. Like one learner might say, oh, this is we've talked about compounds before. And I know that two words put together as one will have stress on the first part. So they can add their analytical knowledge here. You'll be amazed at what groups can do with each other because they're pooling, they're bringing together their collective awareness and knowledge. And different learners will have different perspectives and pieces of that puzzle. Okay, that's right. Yeah, good. I'm watching the chat here. That's right. It uses a different part of the brain. Okay. So then once they decide together, mailbox, they also are enacting other training you've provided them that they're going to underline the stressed vowel letters only. Right. Not the whole syllable. Other kinds of systems like phonics will do a lot of syllable underlining or drawing a circle around a syllable. But we're using something just a bit simpler because later in spelling exploration, whether it's later in the day, later in this term, okay, later or separately when we do spelling exploration, these underlines are very important. Okay. So, okay, mailbox, they play with what color it is. You remind them, don't write the color. We're going to play with that later. Okay. Elevator, dining room. Nice because this is a compound that is not joined. There's still a space here, but it's still a compound. So there are a lot of really interesting little cases that they can discuss and they can grapple with, right? They can sort of discuss and ask questions and say, oh, this can also be a compound. Okay. Maintenance. Okay. So if you're doing one-on-one tutoring, anybody doing one-on-one tutoring? Is that ever? If you do one-on-one tutoring, this is simply between the tutor and the learner. Okay. And if they're early in their learning journey, the tutor can do the underlining. Okay. So you're going to set this up, living room, or if you're working with a beginning group, I think, Amy, did you say you work with beginners? Yeah. So you can actually do the markups in advance. That way there's no question of them, oh, they started writing all over, I didn't want that, or they underlined the wrong thing, or if you don't want to have to monitor that, you can mark this up before you photocopy it for them. And in fact, with this scenario that I've just painted, I'm now creating a master for myself, essentially, right? So I could switch over to pen and do this more, here's bedroom, here's utilities, there's dryer, right? Vacancy. In another iteration, another time, I may want to do this again with no markups and also no markups by them. So whether you mark up and who you have marking is part of your decision in the lesson. It's a form of scaffolding. And the question is, who's ready to do it? Is it only you, the teacher? Are the students in a group collectively able to provide their own scaffolding? Or is it that you're going to provide it in advance, or maybe no scaffold because you want to review, or it's a more advanced group? Okay. All right. So now once you have everybody aware, they've spent some time here, you don't have to do the cutting. And it's funny, I did get some actual scissors out. Let me see if I can find them. Here we go. So one thing I really don't like about materials prep is me cutting a bunch of little pieces of paper and putting those little pieces in an envelope. That it makes me, there's something crazy making about it. Like, wait a minute, I have a master's degree. Why am I sitting here cutting? It's like I have other things to do. So I really like getting enough, some of the smaller kinds of scissors, classroom scissors, and let students do this. Because while they're doing it, they're touching and looking and playing with these words. Okay. So here they are. They cut. Okay. Let's see. I want to take out my sort of done version here. So imagine I cut this up. What this starts to look like is And you're going to bear with me. I'm going to switch topics here. It's a different set of vocabulary. So here are my individual pieces of paper. You'll figure out the theme pretty soon. I'm going to turn off my lights. That's flooded. Let's see here. You never quite know how these, come on, I'll even turn this off if we have to. Ah, there I go. I'm sitting in the dark now, but it works. All right. So we have June. So this is what the students then have on their table. And, you know, you don't have to give a lot of instructions about what the game is yet. Just make sure they set them out on their table. You know, they have some sense that we're going to figure out how these words sound and they're going to do something with them. But give them instructions just in time. Don't overwhelm them with everything they need to know, even if they ask. Okay, so here I am. I've got a bunch of cards. I know you can't see all of them yet. Let me fix my screen. Here we go. It's pretty good. Okay, fine. There, now you can see everything. All right. And so the first time you train learners on this game might take longer. You might want to reserve 30 minutes for the demo and then them going and doing it together. But once you teach how this game works, this is a game called Colorgories, okay? And the one thing I do invest my time in is I do give myself an envelope. I cut off the top from the page. This is dates and time. I have the QR code handy so that if I want it later, they're going to have this envelope, because in the envelope, you'll see are the answers. I've got the answers on the outside. I've got the pieces of paper they're going to cut. They put them inside. At the end of the term, if they've already been marked up, I can recycle those little pieces of paper, keep my envelope. Okay, so there are ways to have that kind of use it again and again aspect. So this is sort of just simple logistics for the classroom. Where do you keep it? You can put it in a folder. Okay, so that's how I, you know, sort of maintain control of all the little pieces of paper. All right, so we have all the little pieces. What are learners going to do? You're going to now play with me, so you can open up mics as you want to. I'm going to start with a word. I'm going to pick June just because it's here. I want you to help me find three more words. There are a total of 4 that are the same color vowel as June. What color is June? We already talked about it some when we were cutting and playing with our words. June, June, nice blue moon word. So I'm going to look for, I happen to have my cards with me. This is a set of blue words that we're going to find that are all blue, 4 of them. Do you see any others that are blue?
July.
July. Hey, that's a really nice idea. I hear a blue. I hear a blue.
Afternoon.
Would you try calling the cat with July?
Afternoon. With the moon.
Yeah.
Blue
Okay,
moon.
afternoon. Great.
Afternoon.
Here's afternoon. Where did I find it?
Afternoon.
July.
Why am I? Oh, there it is. June afternoon. Amy, you want to try calling the cat with? I hear July, but where's the
But
stress?
it's July.
Yep, there we go.
Yep.
July. So not blue. We might want to note what color is that?
White tie.
White tie, exactly.
White tie eye.
Great. So we can note for later, we can start to suspect that we'll need to pay attention to white later. Okay. So we have June, afternoon. What else?
Noon.
Noon. There it is. Noon and
Tuesday.
Tuesday. So you see how we've switched from the earlier example where I did a bunch of underlining to scaffold. This is the more advanced version where we have no underlining. And it was great because Amy grappled with this in just the right way, right? We won't always have underlines to play with. So We want this. That's a beautiful moment for her to say, oh my gosh, yeah, of course. Yeah. Was that genuine, by the way, Amy?
I'm afraid it was.
Great.
I'm so visual. I saw JU. I was just in my,
Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly. Plus, as very literate people that all of us teachers are, we are very text bound. And our eyes, because of the experience of how we read in English from left to right, our eyes will guide our brain to choose often the first syllable as what we think is the stress, when in fact, if we listen, then we find it. That's the whole call the cat thing, right? Beautiful. Hey, so ding, 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 we're done with Blue Moon, all of those sorts. We've got the first category. There are 3 other colors. Each of them have 4 words. Okay, so now let's just say we had July. I'm going to put this here since we already figured out that July is white. We know we have to find 3 other white words.
Time. Time.
Time. Okay, time. And Irina, what did you say?
Friday. Friday.
Friday. Oh, there it is. Friday.
And night. Night.
Oh, okay. Is it mid? If we put midnight, I'll put it here, midnight. Let's try flooding this. Ready? July, time, Friday, midnight. Oh, wait. Midnight. Is it
Midnight.
midnight or is it midnight?
Midnight. Midnight.
Yes. So is it in fact a white word?
Silver pin. Really?
Silver word. Exactly. Good. So
I have
now we
an
can move.
interesting point with my student is that they always have the mistake when they pronounce the word time. They always say that time. So
Beautiful.
yes.
Okay. So let's say that
Clever
at this
Chat.
moment you hear them saying Tom.
Yeah.
So now what I'll do is I'll move back over to me in the chart. I'm a little dark, that's okay. But I'll move right over to my chart that's on the wall, talking about classroom instruction here, right? So you've got your chart on the wall, it's close by enough, or you might say, come on over here. Or I might grab my handy, I always like to have a small one. So I might come back and say, let's look at this. So I might walk over to the chart and say, let's explore time. Let's trace it. Where's white tie? It's right here. So we would say time. And I literally want them to move or trace with it. It's because it starts down here at olive, ah, and the English sound of time, I, must move all the way up to green. So with your 9-year-olds, boy, that would be super fun. Time, some kind of a big gesture starting down, time. And my Vowel yoga videos touch on that as well. But touching and physically touching the chart is a great way to reinforce how important that movement is, right? Good. I'll do that again here. If they have the chart that's maybe that's the launch pad, or again, back to the book gives you everything you need. I'll pull out that one page. Here it is. Back to this. Let's say part of what I've done with my learners is I photocopied this page when I started introducing the game, right? So they now have it in their notebook and they can trace olive sock, I see how the white tie shape actually comes right down to this area, right? It's a little bit of a stretch right there, but start here. And when they come up to the top, they hear E. That's how much they need to move. Okay. Huang, is that an accurate way to say your name, Huang? Huang?
You can say my name is Sarah.
Sarah. Oh, Sarah. Okay, I'm looking at that.
Sorry.
Can you say your name just because I'm looking at it too? I want to hear that first name of yours.
Hương.
Hung. Okay. I'll say Hung or Sarah.
Sarah. So you can call me Sarah. I'll change.
Beautiful, Sarah. Thank you. Okay, so Sarah, if you have them start down at olive, that's going to give them the sense of where they start and where they finish. They do it once or twice with a big gesture. And so we move from fine motor skills, I, to big motor, I with your hands. Sorry, that was too exciting for me. And then we go right back to the game, right? And you have them flood again. So here we are with my little pieces of paper. There we are. So we can do it again. And the child who said, Tom, you're really monitoring them at this time, right? And they go back July, time, Friday, and what's my final white
Night.
tie? There it is, night.
Night.
Okay. Okay. I have done this myself with high schoolers, ninth graders. They're about, what would that be, 15, 14 years old, that kind of grade. They love, I mean, the students love this. They love figuring out where the pieces go. If they make a mistake, let's just say here, if they had midnight here, what's beautiful about this kind of game is that it's going to self-correct eventually. You're going to have a moment where this word, night, is it's not going to fit anywhere else. They'll have to come back up here and figure out what's wrong. So that's what I love about these, what I call a self-correcting game. There are exactly 4 words per category. There are exactly 4 categories. All of our Colorgories games are like that. Okay. So we can leave it there. What's another color here? Let's pick, oh, here's summer. Notice how the design of the game, we know we can pick any card down here and it's going to be the next category. Summer, right?
Months.
Yeah.
Cup mustard.
Sunday.
Right. So start. Yeah. What color is that? A cup of mustard summer. And every cup of mustard summer. What's another mustard word here?
Sunday.
Sunday.
Monday. And
Uh,
month.
Day and month. Month.
Good. Month. Summer, Sunday, Monday, month. Great. Okay. I think we're close to, the obvious, right? That's kind of a fast, it clicks right in. Winter, minute, spring. And maybe for a moment, they might even think they did it. Right? It's the letter I. So they say, we're done. And now you can come and say, oh, hold on a minute. Would you just check this with your mouth? Say these words, right? Because they might just be looking again. That's the default. It's so easy for learners and teachers to fall back into a kind of comfort with looking at words. And in Color Vowel, anytime we're looking at a word, we're going to use a gesture, we're going to say it a lot. But you, the teacher, are going to have to do that training to get them used to this. And part of that is redelivering this very true, big idea that English spelling is not English pronunciation. English spelling is a parallel system that often helps us know, but also often does not help us know. There's a very historically written language, so it's not that easy. And we want them to know that so they stop getting stuck on why. Instead, it's the fact, because it is not a silver word, right? Just because it's an I. So we have winter, minute, spring. You're like, how do you say this word? Night. Okay, then they do this work. Well, it's got to be a white tie word. So which one isn't white? And don't tell them, you're going to wait. You can say, well, which syllable is stressed in this word? You can lead them, but always have them do the work, right? And now we're back to, again, compounds. And compound nouns come up everywhere in English. They're almost in any kind of subject, any kind of conversation, right? And so they figure out midnight, and there we are. Okay, good, solution solved, right? If they need to, then they can go back to the envelope and come and check, because you have several groups in the room, right? So they can come back and check right there. Okay. What else could you do with this before you put it away? Let's say one group's really fast and they, table number 1 over there with those 4 students, they finished earlier than all the other groups. So how can we exploit this just a step further? Any thoughts?
There are different categories. There are months, there are days of the week, there are time phrases. It could
Ooh, so like a semantic sorting? Okay. So how would we say that to that group? Like what exactly would you tell them to do?
I would tell them to mix up the words, find different categories. Maybe even give them an example, scaffold it for them. Show them that there's June and July, what else goes in this? And then just let them work with it.
Okay.
Maybe I will let my students to take an example with some kind of with a full sentence, like June, afternoon, noon, and Tuesday, right? We're within only one sentence. In only one sentence, they have to take an example, and it's quite interesting for them to take an example with the tongue, right?
Yeah,
Just
kind
like
of
the
a stretch.
tongue twister, some kind of that. Yes.
Yeah, it's a flooded sentence, right?
Yes.
I'll see you, let's see. I'll see you on Tuesday afternoon. Or it's June, let's meet on Tuesday afternoon. No, let's meet at noon. So yeah, you can have a challenge of, can you make one sentence or can you make a mini dialogue between 2 people?
Yes.
Something that, I love that. That's a great idea. So we had 2 really great ideas. One is, let's just look at the meanings of these words now. One sort along those lines of Wendy is that some of them are proper nouns. They have capital letters. So that could be an easy sort. And then you could say, well, why? Just sensitizing learners to, these don't have capital letters. I wonder why. But I do love that both of those work really well. Then we also have days, times. So maybe it's that they're naming the categories. We already had colorgories. This is colorgories. So what are the categories? Right, the categories are, okay, we have days, we have months, we have seasons, we have time words. Am I missing anything? That's sort of the 4 things, isn't it? I've never done that before with this particular set of words. So this is actually a genuine sort, right? I'd have to, spend some time here. I'm going vertically now, by the way. So I have month. I've got, oh, that's interesting. Right? We have times. Here's a Sunday. There's another day. This is seasons. I've got time words, minute, got winter. I've got noon. That's a time. I've got night. It's not necessarily, a perfect 4-4-4. Sunday is right there. Midnight. Okay. Does that work for everybody? Something like that. That's pretty neat. I think that would be a higher level of instruction. It takes a lot more sort of conceptual awareness, right, Wendy?
Yeah.
So you could definitely go there with a very analytical group of students. Maybe create a sentence with 2 or more words. You can scaffold that. Boy, you could say make a 2-word sentence. A sentence with 2 of these words, a sentence with 3 of these words. You could scope that challenge upward, right? Any other thoughts?
I always think it's worth it to emphasize when you had them across in colors and in sounds, for students to note which letters are used, like the diversity of letters that are used to describe the sound.
That's right. So we've got time, for example, time, July, Friday and night. Okay. So we could just look at those 4 and do a small moment of spelling exploration. We have Y, and this is where, again, the underlines could come in pretty handy, right? I can say, well, I've got Y, I've got I've got I have I, right? So my little bar graph in spelling exploration, and that's really the beauty of spelling exploration, is we have here's our x-axis, our y. We have 2 spelling patterns here. One is much more frequent than the other. Okay, they can do these very small analyses, so it's not random. There are strong tendencies. Sarah, did you have a thought there?
So so cool.
Is it cool? We can do the same thing. I'll take away the white ones and we'll do mustard is always an interesting one. So I have mustard summer, I've got Sunday, I've got, what am I missing here? Noon, afternoon, June, midnight, right?
Month.
Month, thank you. See, I was looking with my eyes when I found month finally, and then Monday. Ooh, so that's an interesting result.
Maybe just like playing puzzle.
Yeah. So now I'll start to wonder if we collect more mustard words, I wonder which pattern is actually more common. And that question, just asking that question, is part of spelling exploration. It's forming a curiosity rather than feeling like victims of English spelling. I think that's been the past, is like, oh, it's always so hard. Oh, I wish I were better at it. It's not about you being better. It's like, let's play with this. Let's notice the patterns we have going on here. Well, no wonder it's tricky, because right now it's kind of a tied game, 2 and 2. So let's collect some more words. Since somebody asked earlier about spelling exploration in those sheets, let me show you again, nitty gritty. Okay, I'm going to show you what this can start to look like. Give you a moment to stop share on that. Great. I'm going to change over to some pictures. This is at a school for low literacy, for dyslexia, for adults. Okay. And so here is a picture. Let me see if I can get up nice and close. Yeah. This is a spelling exploration worksheet. And here are the various words that have been collected. Let me make this a little bigger for everybody. I know some folks are on phones. Oh, yeah, there we go. I'm sharing the right thing. Okay. So you can see that here the teacher has helped them collect, whether it's pictures like baby or a word like way, day. There were some food words, grapes. All of these words have been sorted and placed on a poster. Let's call it a little mini poster. We have these over in the teacher library, by the way. Okay. But down below, the learner, you can see that this is learner handwriting, right? They are organizing them the same way we just did with our pieces of paper, as columns that reach upward. And by doing that, they're starting to form an awareness of, okay, the letter A by itself, baby. What is that word?
Potato.
Potato, which they don't have. I think the teacher needs to go back, right? Potato, Facebook, states, race, lady, rakes, baker. They're literally building their intuition about spelling, that the letter A is a very productive letter when you're spelling the gray sound. Just closing my door. Okay. And meanwhile, what I like about this picture on the left is it shows how, as this top area starts to fill up, this is an old picture, by the way, you can tell, because we always capitalize, we've become more methodical. You always capitalize silver and pin to show that it's a color, that is a sound. But in any case, You're collecting words. And when this gets full and you've moved them here into the organizer, you can then place those words down here in the little bag. And I love this. This is a teacher who innovated this. Dr. Barr did. She's our resident phonologist. And so when she was teaching this class for people with dyslexia, they could then recycle and use their words that they've already organized for future activities. Okay. Again, making sentences like Sarah had as an idea. All right. So there's a little bridge out. So isn't that neat? We were able to take one game. We moved over to the chart briefly when we needed to get from time to time. Will we have to do that again a few more times? Sure. But every time we sort of stop, like, hey, let's move over to the chart. Let's trace. Then the next time they play this game, they'll have a little memory of that and they can make a self-adjustment, a self-correction. Okay. Thank you. And so there we are. We've been able to reach out to the chart. We've been able to reach out to also the spelling exploration worksheet. Okay. Questions or comments?
I have a question. We have the spelling or the sound exploration that has the entire chart.
Yes.
So if you're going to introduce the chart, should we introduce it with a small categories or should we introduce the entire chart? Does it depend on the level of the student and where they are in their English journey? What's kind of your take on that?
You know, whenever I'm going to be asked a this or that question, my answer is going to be yes. So let me speak to that for a moment. Wendy is referring to the digital library. I'm going to show it to you. Only our level 1 certified teachers have access to the digital library. But when you are down in here, what's nice about that is that you get some access to some nice webinars. We have resources here, okay? And under discovery activities, you'll find a printable version of that big vowel discovery. Okay, you'll find a Google slide version and I'll open it just so we can look at it. This gives you an idea of how to use this as a material. And so here is that version. And Trang, you're going to remember this, right? You recently did level 1. This is one of the opening activities for teachers. It's great for teacher training. It has a lot of your words here. So when I developed this activity, I originally developed it for my learners at the university. And I found that it was great because I would have a group of, say, 15 people in the room. And I knew what I needed to do. What I needed to do that day was sort of destroy their assumption about English. That was my aim, was to really rattle them, like what's going on here? And so part of my goal was to literally to overwhelm them. There are moments where you want that, because in order to have a successful course with all of these university students, many of them coming with, I know they're coming with this assumption that spelling of English is the reference. And if I speak to the letter, then I will have perfect pronunciation. I could hear that in their speech. And if I talk to them, they would verify that. And so I use something big like the vowel discovery activity with all of those words, 14 colors, 4 words per category. In the written version, by the way, the printed version, it's 5 words per category, because the 5th one is the color word, but I don't tell them what it is, right? They don't know. It's just one of the 5 cards that end up there, okay? So they're sorting. And in doing that, they're talking to each other. It's a big interactive activity. It's kind of mentally exhausting. I'm prompting them to speak the whole time, but they're starting to notice that, okay, somebody knows this word. Some people know none of this word, like the word plaid, P-L-A-I-D. I throw that in there so they have to say, I don't know how to say it. And then they turn to me and say, how do you say this word? I'm like, listen to it. So I can start to introduce the importance of really hearing plaid. That's all I say, plaid. You know, plaid, plaid, plaid. And then they start organizing this according to that black sound. They don't have a name for it yet. So that's how this started, Wendy, was I basically created this very heavy lift boot camp activity where they're going to sort many words, over 100 words. No, 75 words, a lot of words. They're going to sort all these words and they're going to find like, my gosh, why was that so hard? And I have a very clear debriefing for it. And they start to say, you know what, now I'm really open to these big ideas. The big ideas are boiled into the Launchpad, by the way. These are the two ideas that I've taught for now, 25 years. And teaching these ideas once is not sufficient. Okay, so they come here. This is the organizer, or sorry, the Launchpad right here at the top. There we go. Okay, and the two big ideas are that one vowel sound can be represented by different vowel letters, as shown by these guys: best, friend, said, any, and bread. I have watched intermediate and advanced learners grapple and discuss this question for 20 minutes. You and I think it's simple, but if you give them the space, they really, it's not a matter of just like, oh, now I know. They really have to unbuild or just, how can I tear apart their assumption? And it takes time to deconstruct an assumption. So they will sit there and argue with each other until what happened with Laura recently, again, same Laura, is she went to them and said, okay, everybody stop arguing, close your eyes and listen to me say these words. So they, okay, fine. So they closed their eyes and she said, best, friend, said, any, bread. And she said, what do you hear? What's the same sound across all of them? And they were finally able to say, oh, red. And then they wrote, so they take their pencils out and they write red. Okay. And so that's that moment for them. And even then, you might have that very same student who said, oh my gosh, that's incredible. 3 months later, at the end of the term, they may have a similar set of circumstances, not on this page, but in a different activity, where they say, are you telling me that you can spell the red sound in 3 different or more different ways? And you say, yep. And for them, it'll be like the first time they've discovered it again. They have to have that experience multiple times. So this is one of those big important times. The vowel discovery activity has that big effect. Okay, now, so that was the first time, I used to run that, gosh, for years and years. And then I started working with lower level students. I found it was just too much. Like it took an hour and a half one time when I did it with high beginners. So then, like they're going to go home crying. Like this will not be delivering the big aha that we want. So then you take away some words, right? And so then we realized, this just came up, gosh, only about 3 years ago. Well, why not just really take away, just do 4? And you could start with 4 very different colors because the spelling patterns will be very different, so that they have that as a built-in scaffold. And then more advanced and more advanced, they're more similar spelling patterns with more similar sounds. And so that's kind of where the book came from, was let's put together some pre-made puzzles, knowing that you, the teacher, can put them together at any time. You can make your own. Just make a grid for yourself, 4x4 grid, work with the vocabulary you're actually working with, right? And decide, am I going to challenge them with colors that have overlapping spelling patterns, where it's, AI, for example. It's not a great example. That's usually white. But something like EA that could be, bread, or it could be break, right? Or the letter U that could be in unit or in sun. So you can decide how much of a challenge will you build into that color categories activity. So Wendy, do you see how this is yes to all of that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I should have been because I have high beginners. So the answer is, sounds more like break it down, do categories to start with because they're high beginners.
You could, yeah, you could easily do that. Yeah.
I have had the same experience you had with those high beginners. It took us an hour and 15 minutes
Yeah.
just to do the activity, and I only had 5 minutes left to debrief them.
Yeah, for that matter, exactly. You want to have time to debrief, and if by that time they're so exhausted and demoralized, they don't want to do that anymore. It's you've defeated the purpose, and we all feel a little bad. Let's see. There we go. I'm going to do a different version of this. Let's just say they're really beginners, and you just want to build the concept. We're back to my menagerie. Menagerie is it's a collection of delightful objects. This is not something we sell. This is something you collect. Okay. We all have delightful objects in our house, or we can find some. Okay. This is what we call the menagerie. Okay. Menagerie is just little cute objects. I use these with adults. I use these with younger learners. Everybody loves little things to hold and touch, right? So if I grab something like this is my duck. Duck. Okay. What color is duck? Duck. I hear mustard, right? I might even then take out a card because we're starting to use the chart. In the Color Vowel Approach book, I give an example of a lesson plan for low beginners where we just use 3 different colors. In this case, this is not one of the first 3 I use, but you can use mustard. So now I'm going to give you 3 more words, and you're going to decide which one matches. So here is my mouse. This is my mouse. This is my truck. He's cute. I like that truck. And here is my shell. So which one matches with duck? Mouse, shell, or truck?
Truck.
So I could drive my truck. Okay, we're up here with our duck and our truck. Okay, I'm going to give you another object. Let's see if I can find. Okay. All right, so this is my owl. And now I've got truck and duck. There's 2 of these go together and one of them doesn't. Let me say them for you again. We've got mouse. He's got his little tail here, by the way. Okay. We've got our shell and we've got our owl. Which 2 belong together?
Mouse and owl.
Mouse and owl. Good. Okay. Good. I'm going to see. I've got now. It's kind of dark. Let me see. These. Okay. Oh, it's so bright. Let me see if I can get this to adjust a little better for you. Sometimes, I'm sorry for the document camera business. It's rough with all the lighting. Here, I know what I can do. That's a little warmer. That's better. Okay, good. So now I've got my elephant. This is my shell. Got my elephant. I have my, let me see what I have. I've got my bunny. And I've got my, I don't know what I have. I haven't done a lot of advanced prep for this, so it's not great. But let's see. I've got, oh, I have my hen. I'm going to call this a hen. I know, folks, I know he's a rooster, but let's call him a hen for now. All right. So which category should I put my elephant in? Who does he go with? Elephant.
Go with on red pepper, right? Elephant. So
Okay.
that's a red
So which
pepper
one?
elephant. And
Yeah, with the shell.
shell.
Exactly. Shell.
Yeah.
So I may not even
And
have color vowels yet, right? We might just say shell, Shell, elephant, okay, elephant, shell. Good. What about my bunny? Where should my bunny go?
Duck and truck.
Okay, the duck and the truck and the bunny. Good. I might reuse him another time with my black words as a rabbit, but for today he's a bunny. He's a bunny. And right now this is a hen. So you see where I'm going with this, that you can do categories with objects, named objects. Trang, I see a big smile on your face. Do you like this? Yeah, it's not always something we have to buy. You know, a lot of this is about innovation and just remaining connected to human delight. We just really like real little things. We love toys, especially just anything that we can use in a lot of different ways. So this is categories. You could then bridge into a written version of this. And so the Classroom Games book is here to light up for you as a teacher all the things you can do quite easily, okay? We are getting close to the end of our time. I thought I'd finish up though with some final thoughts about just the book. Today we played with, getting to this. If you're teaching one term, you can mark, right up here that I photocopied it on this day, because then the next time you can say, okay, I've covered it this term. You don't accidentally use it twice. Then each time you photocopy, you write the date, and that won't matter because they won't see that. But it's just easy for you to know, have I used it? Or Laura, in this case, Laura sometimes will actually just tear out a page and give it to the students because it's the end of the term. We had a couple of extra minutes. And so she gives one group this puzzle and she gives the other group that puzzle. Okay. This puzzle has visual support for the vocabulary. So some of them have more visual support or less. You can guess which one is more challenging, right? So that's more scaffolding, less scaffolding. Okay, add the lines and you've got even more scaffolding. Okay. As we move forward, lots of great different topics, by the way. We do provide that game board here. So it's really easy to either have students draw. They could draw those objects, the owl and the mouse, right? And the others. And now you can do a categories that's entirely graphic. Okay. Or you could write the words owl, mouse, and so forth. And then, so lots of ways to have them take a constructivist approach. Wendy, would you put that in the chat? Constructivist, meaning where the learners are constructing their own language practice. Okay, good. Other games in the book are in memory. So this is obviously a cut up activity. They're going to match school bus. They're going to find the best match for it. Car, right? Subway. Again, a lot of compounds in there. And of course, the answers are always provided. Okay. That's a second kind. And again, when they finish here, the homework could simply be over the weekend, play the same game on your mobile device. And that's the kind of homework that they can succeed with because they've done it once. But the time when they go here, it may not be exactly the same. I don't know if it has pictures, for example. So each time they move from the print to the online, there are little changes. So you can know that it's going to be a little bit of a challenge in a good way. Okay. Back here, something we've not done today, but that I always love to do are the color vowel crosswords. This seems like any kind of crossword, but it's by virtue of collecting the words by color, it's suddenly a game that English learners can actually succeed with. Whereas, say a New York Times, certainly not, but any newspaper, typical newspaper crossword, or one that you find at the grocery store, those little books of crosswords, those are not nearly as accessible to English learners as one that has the stressed vowel sound highlighted in advance. So use and reuse these. Students love these, and they can do them in pairs or groups. Okay. So you haven't had a chance yet? Yeah, Trang, let us know. But for example, I mean, just think about this. They're going to basically play, in this case, it's E, E, green tea, E. They start playing that sound in their mind, so they can start to search through their known vocabulary in their mind, but they're sorting with one color in mind, right? It's just a different kind of access in the brain. So the time of day between afternoon and night. Afternoon and night is a green word. E, E, E. You're like E, E. Let's find evening. I have a feeling it's evening. Okay. All of those games, FYI, I'm going to just finish up with my final point here. We have placed all of these in our game room online, and they are freely available. So here's our homepage. In other words, we've made it very easy to assign homework, where they go to our, let's see, interactive chart. This is where we keep all of our sort of free available resources. There's the chart. Here's our game room. Okay. We can come down to, there's a link to the book to purchase it. But if we just come down to those crosswords, there's green tea. That's the one. Okay. I always like to play solo. I'd find the multiplayer a little, maybe you'll get used to it. I haven't yet. You can click on any one of these, and the hint, you don't have to scroll down, because the hint shows up right up at the top. Okay, so in the middle, the number 3 is 2 and 4, and it means in the middle. And I can just write, sorry, that's weird, there, between, right? Here, I promise you, luckily I'm not divulging my credit card information. It's like showing all those pop-ups, but that was strange. Let's look at 4, the time of day between afternoon and night. There we are again. Let's just say I wrote it like this. Let's say I misspelled it. Notice that it hasn't finished. It has not become completely green. Okay. I come here again. It's not giving me the correction. You know, it's not complete. Right. So I have to come up and say, oh, okay, there's the V. Sorry, there's the V. And now it's green and it's happy. Okay. This one, so forth. So we're flooding between, evening, etc. Okay. Many people take something in sugar, cream, so forth. Okay. So that's
Karen,
always,
you assigned
yeah.
up for homework, make them like take a screenshot to prove that they did it.
Yep.
Something like that.
That's simple. Yep. They take a screenshot. It's on their phone. They can either submit that, or they can simply show it to you the next day.
Right.
Right. Or you could say, you know, tell me what 11 down is, and they just come back with, they know what the word is. So there are lots of little ways to get confirmation on that. Okay. And this, of course, is the printable. It's the very same printable version that's in the book. So lots of ways to bridge back and forth. Everyone, the time has gone quickly. I always have so much fun. So thank you if you've stayed long. If you had to leave early, I understand. Any final big questions kind of remaining before we hang up today? I'm so grateful to have you here. So great to meet you, Sarah. Trang, I look forward to seeing you. You're coming into level 2 core. That's very exciting. We'll be seeing you in August, starting with spelling, right? No, yoga. Vowel yoga will be the first thing we do together in August. So we'll be utilizing the chart, figuring out how that really fits in with the shape of the mouth. And then we'll move into spelling exploration in September. Okay. Amy, new ideas today?
Yeah, and just I'm just grateful to have someone curate it for me, bring me back in. Okay, great. Now I'm ready to go.
Yay.
Yay. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Yeah. I love doing these. I mean, this is the fun part, right? Hi, Wendy.
Hello. Probably the whole idea of gamification. I really want to do more of that. You know, when you teach the same class so many times, I start to get bored as a teacher. So I like to add new things, you know, so I'm not sort of monotone and bored and all of that. So helping with these games, and it clicked with me, like, oh my gosh, I could just have them take a screenshot and prove that they did the homework. It just,
Yeah.
that was the aha moment for me right at the end. I'm like, oh, why didn't I think of that before?
Yeah. Yeah. In this day and age, I tell you, I'm being bombarded by, you've got to use AI for this and you have to do automated that. And I'm just finding I'm personally right now in a place where I want to be even more like physical and
Yeah.
tell me, and I want to see your face. Like I think we're on the precipice of losing the real interaction. So simplicity is the key here. Beautiful. Hey,
Karen.
you warm my heart every time we meet. I love these sessions. So thank you so much for being here. I
Hello,
will
Karen.
post this in the teachers community. Irina, do you have a question?
I'm sorry, can you resend the first link you shared? The system kicked me out, and when I entered again, it doesn't show. Thank you very
Sure.
much.
What was that link for? Do you know?
The web page to the resources we are
Oh,
talking
sure.
about.
Well, the web page, what I have is the web page to our ColorVal shop. That's one. If you're
Uh-huh.
talking about the teacher resources, the library.
Yeah, I think it was a link to that booklet that you are discussing today.
Oh, sure. So the
Mhm.
actual product, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. So that's in the shop. If you do click on the link that I just gave you, you'll
Uh-huh.
find it there. And
Perfect.
then the actual book is right here. Any other special needs or questions?
Thank you very much. Appreciate.
Oh, you're so welcome, Irina. And I'm so glad that you'll be joining us in August as well for
Oh yeah.
Speak Confidence.
Oh yeah. Looking forward.
Yeah, me too. That'll be a lot of fun. All right, folks, I'll talk to you soon. Happy travels, Trang. Be well in the airport. Okay. Sarah, keep in touch. I want to hear how it goes with your various learners. Okay. We don't get a lot of early childhood teachers. So your insights and what you bring to these sessions is very valuable to us.
Yeah, thanks so much for your sharing. It's really interesting to know about the color voucher, and I really hope that to have some way to replace IPA. So
Oh,
I want even we have the color consonant chart.
we do actually. It's not exactly a color consonant chart, but we do have if you're asking about a color vowel approach to consonants, we are on the verge of releasing with Keenan Rhodes. She's one of my colleagues and a partner. She has developed a brilliant consonant chart. Wendy's seen it. Wendy's been using it, right, Wendy? Yeah, no, not quite using it.
It's so cool.
It wasn't quite feasible with the group I had, so
Okay, all right,
we
but
use
kind
it.
of an early pilot. Yeah.
Yeah,
So we've been sending it out, sharing it with teachers in our courses, but we're very close to that launch. And keep your ears open. I hope you're on our mailing list so that you'll hear about our conference. I'm working feverishly on launching the conference. That'll be August 13, 14, no, August 14, 15, 16 online. Okay, and we will have sometime around there, we'll have a launch of the consonant chart.
Nice.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
we're excited about that. Irina will be using it in Speak Confidently. That's going to be one of the first places it's used.
Wow, cool.
All right, everybody take care. Have a wonderful day, evening, morning, wherever you are. Be safe, be well. Okay, talk to you soon.
Karen, I just want to confirm, did you get my email about the British